High-performance station wagons have a long tradition at Audi. The sporty RS models made their debut some 25 years ago. The RS6 Avant is already in its fourth generation. Since those early days, its appearance has become downright brutish. That's backed up by a bi-turbo V8 delivering 441 kilowatts of power and compounded by 800 Newton-meters of torque. Michael Binder of Audi says the RS6 started as an Avant model, typical for European markets, because these Avant models are very popular, and this body type is also simply very sought after. However, over the model generations, the RS6 in particular has become a real niche product. It's taking over more and more of the typical sedan market. Its previous version, for example, was brought to China, usually a strong sedan market. The RS6 was as successful as the RS7 Sportback right from the start. The fourth generation RS6 is now headed to the US. This is the first time that Audi can make a strong showing on the US market with an Avant model. Let's take a look back at the third and fourth generations side by side. The changes aren't only technical, but visual as well. The large air intake does not have the typical Audi single-frame decoration. Tobias Höss of Audi says chrome or aluminum brackets are no longer visible. It's really a pure sports car design. The bumper surface transitions directly into the radiator grille. The proportions are also new. This means that the flatter fascia adopted from the A7 makes for a much flatter hood and much sportier proportions than with the standard A6. So the grille is much flatter, much wider, and this element up here, a kind of recognition feature for RS models, makes the front enormously sporty and full of character. The front headlights, optionally with matrix LED and laser illumination, also come from the A7. If you compare the RS6 with the current standard A6, only 3 parts are identical: the front doors, the roof, and the tailgate. Everything else was designed exclusively for the RS6 Avant. The most important thing for the RS6 is, of course, the width, he says. It was increased by 40 millimeters on each side. That makes it a total of 8 centimeters wider than the standard A6. That gives the car enormous presence. 22-inch wheels were packed into the wheel arches. The surfaces were adapted as much as possible to emphasize the wheels, which is always a typical RS feature. The standard air suspension with controlled damping can be set to 5 different modes. It can drop the RS6 2 centimeters closer to the asphalt than the regular A6 model. From 120 kilometers per hour upwards, it lowers the car by another 10 millimeters. There's also the RS Sport suspension option, which reduces rolling even more. The RS6 Avant rockets from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.6 seconds. The dynamic package raises the speed limiter from 250 to 280 kilometers per hour. Order Dynamic Plus and the RS6 tops out at 305 kilometers per hour. The RS6 Avant has an advanced 8-cylinder bi-turbo with an inboard exhaust, he says. That means the turbo is not typically on the outside, but on the inside of the engine. This provides a few packaging advantages. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been room for 8 cylinders in the C platform. During further development, progress in terms of performance was also made, but also in terms of fuel economy. So there are larger turbos for performance, 3 millimeters larger in diameter, with boost pressure increased to 1.4 bar. To save fuel, the RS6 also has a mild hybrid system. During deceleration, up to 12 kilowatts of power can be recovered and stored in a lithium-ion battery. The car can also coast to save energy by switching off unused cylinders. The RS6 Avant launches in Europe at the end of 2019. Prices for the high-performance station wagon in Germany start at €117,000.